Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Numeron deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an awesome OTK deck that I put all sorts of spicy tech cards in. I'm really excited to show you guys this list, so without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name scripted in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Numeron Wall. Numeron Wall is a great card in this deck to help you get to your copy of Numeron Network, because it has the ability, if you control no cards except Numeron Wall, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard to activate 1 Numeron Network directly from your hand or deck. And you can only use that effect once per turn, which is a great effect to be able to just instantly get to your copy of Numeron Network. It also has the ability to protect you from getting OTK'd, because when you take battle damage, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, in the battle phase after the damage step, which is a great effect to be able to use to stop your opponent from OTKing you so that you can go into the next turn and OTK your opponent. I then play 3 copies of Planet Pathfinder. Planet Pathfinder is a great 3 of the deck because you can tribute this card to add a field spell from your deck to your hand, which is always going to be Numeron Network that you're getting from the deck with this card. I then play 3 copies of Lava Golem. Lava Golem is a really good 3 of the deck because you can tribute over 2 of your opponent's monsters to give you a clear attack to OTK the opponent, while also getting rid of extremely powerful monsters your opponent might have on the field. I then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is a great hand trap just to stop the opponent from touching the deck while you're trying to go in for the OTK. I then play 3 copies of Psyframe Gear Gamma. Gamma and a single copy of Driver is just really good in the deck because by playing the Gamma Driver package in the deck, you're going to stop the opponent from hand trapping you while you're going in for your copy of Numeron Network and trying to OTK the opponent. It's really easy to get them off the field as well because you can use them both to synchro summon into a copy of Psyframe Lord Omega, grip a card out of the opponent's hand, and get the Omega off the field, so then you can use your copy of Numeron Network to go in for game, which is really awesome. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Terraforming. Terraforming is just really good in the deck overall to be able to get to your copy of Numeron Network extremely quickly. I then play 3 copies of Numeron Network. Numeron Network is an extremely powerful field spell and one of my favorite field spells ever created because of how powerful it is. It has the ability that during your main phase, you can send a Numeron normal spell card that meets its activation conditions from your deck to the graveyard, and this effect becomes that spell's effect when this card is activated, or when that card is activated, which is a really powerful effect because you can send your Numeron Calling from your deck to the graveyard and then special summon out all 4 of your different gate monsters to be able to then OTK the opponent, which is absolutely crazy. It also has the ability that Numeron XZ monsters you control can activate their effects without detaching materials, making it so that they all get their effects to double each other's attack points when they're involved in a battle with a monster, which is absolutely amazing for this deck. This card is really good in the deck and the key card of the entire build. I then play 2 copies of Numeron Calling. Numeron Calling is in the deck because you're going to send it to graveyard off your Numeron Network to be able to summon out all 4 of the gate monsters to be able to attack for game. And this card is just a 2 of in the deck because you usually only are ever going to summon out the gates twice in this build, and we only play 2 of each gate in the deck, so I found that 2 is the best number. I then play 3 copies of Memories of Hope. Memories of Hope is absolutely crazy because once you put your 4 copies of your Numeron gate monsters on your side of the field, you can actually draw 4 cards because this card has the ability to draw cards equal to the number of Number XZ monsters with different names that you control, which when you activate Numeron Network, sending Numeron Calling, you summon gate 1, 2, 3, and 4 to your field, and since you control 4 monsters that are number monsters, you get to draw 4 cards with Memories of Hope, digging into the deck for cards that you need. I then play 3 copies of Raigeki. This card is just hilarious to play in the deck because being able to board wipe your opponent's monsters is just absolutely hilarious. This card is super good in the deck to be able to just get rid of all your opponent's monsters or force a negate that your opponent might need to be able to stop the Raigeki, because if they don't stop this card, they're losing all of their monsters. So this card is a definite 3 of in the deck. I still can't believe Raigeki is at 3. I then play 3 copies of Lightning Storm. Lightning Storm is really good for back row. It's really good for monsters, and it's just a great card overall, because if you control no face-up cards, you can activate one of these effects. You either destroy all attack position monsters that your opponent controls, or you destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls. This card is really good as a 3-of because it can deal with back row, or it can deal with attack position monsters, so this card comes in extremely handy in the deck to stop the opponent. I then play 3 copies of Limiter Removal. Limiter Removal is really good because this card is just insane to be able to double the attack points of your Numeron monsters. You guys should definitely check out the live duels that I'm going to have for this deck, because I carried this deck to locals and did extremely well with this deck. This card is super good because you can drop Limiter Removal to double the attack of all your machine monsters that you currently control, but the machine monsters that you currently control are destroyed during the end phase, which is not that big of a deal because you can just link them away into a copy of Megaclops or one of the other link monsters that we play in this deck. But this card is really, really good overall, because if you draw into multiple copies, usually it means you OTK, or even if you draw into a single copy of this card, it usually means you're going to OTK. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. I know we're playing traps in this deck. What's happening? So for the traps, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Gozen Match. Gozen Match is absolutely crazy in this deck. Gozen Match has won me so many games with this deck. It's just so crazy. This card is just so good because each player can only control 1 attribute of monsters, and you send all their face-up monsters they control to the graveyard. That is super good because all we're controlling in this deck is light monsters, with all 4 of the different Numeron monsters that we play in the extra deck being light machine monsters. Speaking of them being machine monsters, we also play 3 Rivalry of Warlords. The reason I played Gozen and Rivalry in the main instead of playing them in, say, the side is because if you main these cards and you do lose the die roll when you go into a duel, you are prepared to go first, which is really important with this deck because normally with Numeron, it's really hard to go first because with this build, you're trying to OTK. But with your copy of Rivalry and Gozen in this deck, you can set both of these to the field and slow the opponent down enough that they might normal summon a monster to the field and resolve the normal summon they might have an effect, and then you chain Gozen. If they can't out the Gozen, once they've normal summoned a monster in attack position, you have a clear target to OTK the opponent, and you pretty much win the game, which is absolutely crazy. Playing 3 Gozen and 3 Rivalry is just really good in the deck, and I highly recommend it. If you guys have never played Rivalry and Gozen in a Numeron deck, definitely give it a try. It is absolutely insane. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're playing a single copy of number C, Numeron Chaos Gate Sonya. Sonya is really good in the deck if you need to do a little bit of burn damage. This card is really good because you overlay it on top of gate number 1, and it's really easy to summon to your field because all you have to do is throw it on top of gate number 1. It has a really good effect that if this card is XZ summon, you banish all monsters on the field. And then once per turn, during your next standby phase, after this card was banished, then you can special summon this banished card. And then if Numeron Network is in the field spell zone, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the combined attack of all banished XZ monsters, which is going to be 3,000 that you're going to do to the opponent, which is really good because it can close out a game. I then play 2 copies of gate number 1, 2 copies of gate number 2, 2 copies of gate number 3, and 2 copies of gate number 4. The reason you play 2 of each of these is because they are pretty much the same monster. They all do the same exact thing, which is cannot be destroyed battle, and at the end of the damage step, if this card battle an opponent's monster, you can detach a material from this card, which you don't have to detach when you have Numeron Network on the field, and double its attack of all Numeron monsters that you currently control until the end of this turn, which is a really good effect to just double the attack of all the Numeron monsters that you control, because you will control 4 Numeron monsters when you activate Numeron Network and send Numeron Calling from your deck to the graveyard, because you'll summon 1 each of these monsters to the field and then go in for game with all these cards. Now at the end of the turn, it does send them to the graveyard, so you're going to want to link them away if you don't OTK the opponent. So I'm playing some really good link monsters in the deck. With a single copy of Underworld Goddess. Underworld Goddess is really good if your opponent has a monster that you couldn't out, and you can get rid of all 4 of these monsters to then make Underworld Goddess and get rid of the opponent's monster, which is really nice. I play a single copy of Infinitrack Megaclops. Megaclops is a card you're going to summon all the time in this deck. It takes 3 XZ monsters to summon, and it has the ability it's unaffected by other monster effects, except those of XZ monsters, and it cannot be destroyed by battle, except those with XZ monsters, which is really cool because this card is basically immune to all monsters except XZ monsters. So this card is really easy to summon to the field. It is a little bit vulnerable to spells and trap cards, but once you put a 4,000 attack point monster on the field that can't be destroyed by battle or by monster effects, it's pretty hard to deal with for your opponents. So this card is a definite one-of in the deck. I then play a single copy of Appaloosa just in case I need to put monster negates on the field. This card is really easy to summon during main 2 by linking away all 4 of the different gate monsters on your side of the field into this card, giving you 4 negates. I then play a single copy of Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax. You can summon this card every so often if you need a really big boss monster that's basically a towers, because when this card is linked summon card is on the field, your opponent got to target this card with effects, and also if it battles a special summon monster, it gains attack equal to that opponent's monster's original attack points, which is pretty good because it will go up by quite a lot. This card is really good and a really powerful boss monster. And then play a single copy of Soryuja just in case Memories of Hope isn't enough of a draw 4 for us. This card will also let us draw 4 and then put 3 back, which is pretty good in the deck. You'll just search for additional cards like Gozen and Rivalry if we didn't already have them. I then play a single copy of Cyframe Lord Omega because we can use this card with our copy of Gamma and Driver to be able to make this card, and then you'll just get rid of it and rip a card out of the opponent's hand, and then you won't have a monster on the field so you can use Numeron Network. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really awesome deck. You guys should definitely check out the live duels that I have on the channel for this deck because it is really crazy. This build is really fun to be able to play, and you guys will definitely see during those live duels where I carry this deck to locals that Gozen and Rivalry is just too good in this deck. Those cards are absolutely insane and really surprise the opponent. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.